Hello, folks. Barry Moore at the Better Business Bureau. We're doing a podcast for BBB Sharing. We are on video and by audio. And our guest today is the one and only Attorney General right now in the Commonwealth of Virginia, Jason Miyares. And it's a great partnership. So I want to talk about, we had a meeting here in the BBB this morning about economic development between Greater Richmond Partnership, Chambers, all the economic development in all the counties, and how they bring people to do business here. And we brought up, what about crime? Do you talk about crime? And it was interesting. One of the guys, very smart young man over in Chesterfield said, when we go across to Europe, we have different kind of crime. They were worried about the kind of crime we have because they might not gun carry over there and all these things. And it kind of, I heard them, but again, being older, I said, I don't think I quite agree. Our staff talked about it afterwards. And we have very safe communities, a lot of areas. Certain areas of this country are fire pits, right? Now, crime does go out into the communities. I just moved to Goochland, and I'm sure I'm going to find there's crime out in Goochland. Although we have a great sheriff with Creasy. That's why I moved there. I'm going to retire there, and I'm pretty excited. But you, in your job role, public safety and economic prosperity, to have these companies come here, set up shop, and want to be here for 30 years and have employees that are safe. Can you talk about that?
Well, I'll tell you, it's huge. And I was just talking to a developer in Northern Virginia who said that commercial real estate there is booming because of the number of people that don't feel safe in the District of Columbia, that their employees say, we're not going to come back to in-person work because we don't feel safe coming in the district. The average arrest record of someone that's been picked up on a murder charge in Washington, D.C. is 13 prior arrests, right? And it hurts businesses. It's been estimated by the Bureau of Justice Statistics that the total cost of crime nationally in the United States is $2 trillion a year. And that for every 10% increase in crime in a community, there's a 3.5% decrease in business activity. And so, Better Business Bureau, it's in many ways, it talks to and works with a lot of small businesses. That's the economic driver of our country, right? 2/3 of all new jobs created in America are small businesses that employ 100 people or less. Well, they're not going to locate in a high crime area. They will actually relocate out of a high crime area. And so when you talk about certain communities, that you have terms now that have entered into the American lexicon like food deserts. It means that because of, say, organized retail crime and massive amounts of theft, grocery stores close, Walmart's close. I remember there was a story in the Wall Street Journal, I think it was Chicago, it may have been Minneapolis, but I think it was Chicago, where the mayor was decrying the fact that a Walmart supercenter located in the certain area of the city was closing because it couldn't handle the crime. And he was decrying the fact that this was the only place to get fresh produce in a certain, 5 to 10 mile square radius. That's why we have these food deserts. People literally live in areas where they cannot even get fresh food and milk and meat. And your convenience store suddenly becomes your grocery store. You have to get on a train or get on the metro to go get groceries. So that is a huge example of why businesses that think, well, crime doesn't really impact me economically. It does. You have some communities in Northern Virginia where you have some local Commonwealth attorneys that just have a policy. I disagree with the policy, but their policy is we're just not going to prosecute anything that's a larceny-related crime of $1,500 or less. Well, when you talk to the small business owners, the retail shop, it's been devastating for them because they're trying to get up on their feet. And when you're just refusing to prosecute entire categories of crime, people don't want to spend money, go out, and have a good time if they're looking over their shoulder in fear, right? So part of my job as the people's protector is to make sure, I like to say, no Virginian should be looking over their shoulder in fear. So we have done a lot of great work. We launched something called Operation Ceasefire in 13 cities that had, I think, unacceptable levels of crime and gun violence. City of Richmond was one of them. And in our 13 targeted ceasefire cities, crime dropped 66%. The murder rate dropped 66%. So those are the type of proven record that we've had. And so, yes, crime does impact businesses. It does impact the ability of people wanting to locate right now. How many people right now are looking to relocate their business in high crime Chicago? No, people are leaving, right? You can go through, and those cities have that level of breakdown.
You get an office pretty cheap.
Right. You can get retail space pretty cheap there.
Get what you pay for.
Yeah. So we think you always have to be mindful of that, and that's something we're mindful as well, is that not only is it keeping the community safe, it also means that businesses continue to grow and thrive.
I'll tell you, from the Better Business Bureau aspect, if I could ask one thing after what you just said, and it just hit a nerve, and a good nerve, if the governor, the lieutenant governor, and the AG right now today, or maybe tomorrow, were to do a video or a couple videos explaining what you just said to business owners, making them understand how important location is with the law enforcement, right? Crime, to work better with the law enforcement partners would be interesting. And then I know I've seen you work in Petersburg. I've been down there with your office probably a year ago, something like that. And I just think there's so much we could do to talk about today. It's not political. It's not about running for office. That's not what I'm asking. But make the small business, 80% of our clients, I work for every consumer. You have as many clients as I do. But the problem is you have 2-year-old, 3 years old. My client starts at 12, 13 when they start buying, up until the day they die. So if we can explain to the business owners how important crime-free zone is, it's not just something we talk about. The mayor was here today at an event this morning from Richmond, and we had a great conversation about that and how important it is to get things under control. And it's not political. It's not, God. It's just doing the right thing and paying attention. But then it's not the businesses only. It's the law enforcement, firefighters, and then we got to bring in the family unit. And we have to somehow do it all. So whether it's a video series, you don't have time to write a book and people are not going to read it. But maybe with AI, you could write something in about 30 seconds and come up with something to convey what you just hit on. If you remember what you said, and I'm not getting the words wrong, I don't think it was about, and you can listen to the repeat, it was about what crime can do in the business world and the cost escalating.
I'm always happy to talk about it, and I think it's an important issue.
I know you are.
And I think businesses are wise to be mindful of it.
And what it means to prosecute, being known in a community, are we prosecuting people or not? Or are we letting them go? Because if the keys are on the table and you can do whatever you want, it's like Barney Fife. I'm old enough to watch Andy Griffith, man, and Otis was the man. Otis would drink all night or all day and then all night sleep it off with Andy, but he'd get a hold of those keys and he would get himself out. And so if you leave the chickens in the hen house or whatever the saying is, I'm not a farm boy, but you understand. Anything else you want to add on the crime?
No.
Thank you, though.
No, it's an important issue. We're honored to be kind of the tip of the spear on that issue.
And you are. Well, thank you very much, the Attorney General of the Commonwealth of Virginia, Jason Miyares. Thank you very much for your time and all you do every day.
Thank you.